I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're going to introduce you to a very powerful book, a compelling book. It is called Depth of Despair, A Mother's Journal on Schizophrenia. It is written by a wonderful author. Her name is Bertha Pruitt. It is a poignant and harrowing true story. The book delves into the challenges faced by a mother whose daughter is afflicted with schizophrenia, starting in her late teen years. It spans 27 years, detailing her daughter's struggles with the illness, her achievements despite it, and her untimely death, offering an unflinching look at the realities of living with mental illness and the enduring power of a mother's love. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her remarkable book. The links are below this interview. Bertha, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight and sharing your story.
I was more than happy to do so.
Oh, it's good to have you on. It must have been very, very emotional, very, very difficult at times for you to write this story. Tell me why you decided to put the story down on paper and let people know about the struggles.
Well, after her first few episodes, I decided to start recording them. They were so painful, and I knew that I wanted to keep a record of them, but I also knew that I would never be able to share those episodes as long as she was alive. So that's when I decided I would start writing them like a book form.
Yeah. And I guess you're hoping to help other people who are dealing with a loved one who has a mental illness, right?
That was the whole idea, that it might help someone else who is going through the same thing that I had already gone through. But hopefully there is a better understanding today than it was at the time when I went through this.
Yeah. So when it first started happening, when your daughter was having breaks with reality, um, what did you think was going wrong? What did you think was going on at first?
Well, it started her first year in college, and I guess my notion was, well, this is what happens to kids when they become of age or go off to college or something of that sort. I had no idea that this would be ongoing forever thing that she would never get over, because I remember when they first gave me her when they first gave me the diagnosis, I was I was pleased, thinking that now that I know what the diagnosis is, we can just get help and take care of it. Not thinking that this would be a lifetime journey, which it turned out to be.
Did the medication help your daughter at all?
It did. It did help, yes. Yeah. It was for a while, it was very successful. But as time went on, I guess the body became immune to it, perhaps.
Yeah.
And it became a little less effective.
Yeah. Your daughter did great things despite her illness. She was able to graduate from college. She held a job for decades. I think a lot of people wouldn't expect this from somebody with schizophrenia. So in some ways, you're shining a light on the fact that people can thrive and survive despite this diagnosis, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a living example of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell me what type of work she did when she was working.
She worked for the telephone company, the New England Telephone Company. And I have to give them credit. They were she had some very good supervisors and all, many that had gone through or had family members with the same condition, so they understood it, because she was not an easy one for work or anything else. she would be, she had her opinions,
Yeah.
and she didn't always comply to the rules and regulation. But
Right.
for some reason, they didn't terminate her.
Wonderful.
So
So
that was a blessing.
they gave her
Yeah,
some accommodations, they gave her some room, they understood that she had basically special needs at
exactly.
that point. Your faith
Right.
and spirituality and your belief in God and the Lord helped you through your daughter's illness. Tell us a little bit about how important having faith was during this very trying time.
Oh, it's very important. Otherwise, if you couldn't just go someplace and give what they say, give up and let go and let God, because there were times when it was almost impossible to deal with. But I had to keep telling myself that let go and let God,
Mhm.
and everything would work out okay.
Wonderful. Yeah, faith and your religion and your beliefs, they're all what help you get through such trying times. Your belief in God, your belief in your faith. Absolutely. Now, your book mentions your daughter's death during the early part of the COVID-19 pandemic. So ultimately, it was that pandemic that ended her life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's what I think.
Yeah.
That's It didn't necessarily say so because she was just found in her room, but I'm thinking it was at the early stage of the pandemic, and she must have gotten exposed
Yeah.
and just went on. Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about writing the book. How long did it take you, and what was it like for you writing the book?
Well, I wrote many days. The tears was so as I was writing, tears would just fill the pages, and there was even times I just would have to put it aside. But I was determined that this is something and I know that you have to be a strong person or with strong faith to endure
Yeah.
to be able, because a lot of people, and I saw a lot of people with their loved ones with these conditions, they have to walk away. And I just knew that I couldn't do that. So
Yeah.
I had to keep faith in God.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How important were your other family members during this difficult time when your daughter was, trying and so forth?
I walked this journey alone, basically.
Mm.
Uh, my husband didn't understand it.
Hmm.
He couldn't bring himself to talk about it or to visit her while she was in these episodes or whatever. It was just too much for him. So it seemed like I was on a journey alone, myself and God walking beside me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That must have been hard. I think sometimes men have difficulty accepting what they perceive as weakness, and they kind of perceive
Yeah,
mental illness that way. When it's very, very real, that your daughter has no control over it, you have no control over it. You don't want it to be that way. It's just the way it is. And sometimes we have to live with the hand that God deals us, and knowing that His strength will carry us through, right?
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
This
you've
was the
written,
card that fate threw me. Yeah, I'm sorry.
no, you've done a great job on this book. The name of the book is Depth of Despair, A Mother's Journal on Schizophrenia. It is written by Bertha Pruitt. It's a true life story. The book dives into the challenges faced by her when her daughter is afflicted by schizophrenia. It started when she was just a teenager, lasted for decades. And this book details the struggles of her illness, but also looks at the shining parts of her life, the good parts of her life, her achievements despite it. And of course, ultimately with her death. But her mother wants you to remember her, the way she lived, the contribution she's made, And she also wants you to know that there is a path forward, that if you are dealing with this issue, you will have hope, you will have help, particularly in your faith, your belief in God. Bertha, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate your time and your candor. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.